Hare Krishna devotees. Thank you all for joining today's class. We'll start by Mangalacharya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 O my Lord, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya naram shaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, and unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashtamai Shivabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Darkest of ignorance. Master, open my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Alright, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. As I said, thank you all for joining today's class. And I would like to ask for blessings from each and every one of you so that I can say something that is of a value to you and also would help you grow in your Krishna conscious journey. And I would like to ask for blessings from senior devotees. Please bless me so I can say something of value. You can do it like that, Prabhu. I'll accept it. Okay. Alright. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 8, from 1 to 29. Okay. So I saw in the schedule, my verses were from 10 to 30, and we missed from 1 to 10, so I was like, I think it was a mistake. Yeah, okay, so we can add that in. Okay. Yeah. So,
Text 1. Sukadeva Goswami continued. Upon Lord Shiva's drinking the poison, the demigods and the demons, he turned the ocean into a as a result of this, there is a cow.
Great sages who were completely aware of the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies took charge of that serving cows, which produced all the yogurt, milk, and ghee absolutely necessary for offering oblations into the fire. They did this just for the sake of pure ghee, which they wanted for the performance of sacrifices to elevate themselves to the higher planetary systems up to Brahmaloka.
Therefore, a horse named Ucheshrava, which was white as the moon, was generated. Bali Maharaj desired to possess this horse, and Indra, the king of heaven, did not protest, for he had previously been so advised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
As the next result of the chanting, the king of elephants named Airavata was generated. This elephant was white, and with its 4 tusks it defied the glories of Kailasha mountain, the glorious abode of Lord Shiva.
Thereafter, O king, 8 great elephants which could go in any direction were generated. They were headed by Airavana, 8 she-elephants headed by Aburamu were generated. Also generated.
Generated thereafter from the great ocean were the celebrated gems Kastuba Mani and Padmarga Mani. Lord Vishnu, to decorate his chest, desired to possess them. Generated next was the Parijata flower, which decorates the celestial planets. O King, as you fulfill the desires of everyone on this planet by fulfilling all ambitions, the Parijata fulfills the desires of everyone.
Next, there appeared the Apsaras, who were used as prostitutes on the heavenly planets. They were fully decorated with golden ornaments and lockets and were dressed in fine and attractive clothing. The Apsaras moved very slowly in an attractive style that bewildered the inhabitants of the heavenly planets.
Then there appeared the goddess of fortune, Ramu, who is absolutely dedicated to being enjoyed by the supreme personality of Godhead. She appeared like electricity, surpassing the lightning that might illuminate a marble mountain.
Because of her exquisite beauty, her bodily features, her hues, her complexion, and her glories, everyone, including the demigods, the demons, and human beings, desired her. They were attracted because she is the source of all opulences.
Next, the king of heaven, Indra, bought a suitable sitting place for the goddess of fortune. All the rivers of sacred water, such as Gangas and Yamuna, personified themselves, and each of them bought pure water in golden water for Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune.
The man became a person and collected all the drugs and herbs needed for installing the deity. The cows delivered 5 products, namely milk, yogurt, ghee, urine, and cow dung. And spring personified collected everything produced in spring during the month of Chaitra and Vaishakha, April and May.
The great sages performed the bathing ceremony of the goddess of fortune as directed in authorized scriptures. The Gandharvas chanted all auspicious Vedic mantras, and the professional women dancers very nicely danced and sang authorized songs prescribed in the Vedas.
The clouds in personified form various types of drums known as mridangas, panvas, murajas, and anakas. They also blew conch shells and bugles known as gomukhas and played flutes and stringed instruments. The combined sound of these instruments was
Thereafter, the great elephants from all the directions carried big water jugs full of Ganges water and bathed the goddess of fortune. To the accompaniment of Vedic mantras chanted by learned Brahmanas. While thus being bathed, the goddess of fortune maintained her original style with a lotus flower in her hand, and she appeared very beautiful. The goddess of fortune is the most chaste, for she does not know anyone but the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Devotion, which is the source of all valuable jewels, supplies the upper and lower portions of a yellow silken garment. The predominating deity of the water, Varuna, presented flower garlands surrounded by 6 bumblebees, granted with honey.
Vishwakarma, one of the Prajapatis, supplied varieties of decorated ornaments. The goddess of learning, Saraswati, supplied a necklace. Lord Brahma supplied a lotus flower, and the inhabitants of Nagalu supplied earrings.
Hereafter, the Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, having been properly celebrated with a sacrificial ceremony, began moving on, holding in her hand a garland of lotus flowers. Each was surrounded by hanging bumblebees, smiling with shyness, and cheeks decorated by her weddings. She looked extremely beautiful.
The fruit crests, which were symmetrical and constituted, were covered with sandalwood pulp and kunkuma powder. Her waist was very thin. As she walked here and there, tranquil bells jingling softly, she appeared like a creature of gold.
By walking among the temples, see a class of Pujas, Charan, and of Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of the fortune, was scrutinizing them, but she could not find anything to show evidence to all colors. There was divided of false, therefore she could not take the shelter of any.
The goddess of fortune, the goddess of fortune examining the assembly thought in this way. Someone who has undergone great austerity has not yet conquered anger. Someone possesses knowledge, but he has not conquered material desires. Someone is very great personality, but he cannot conquer lusty desires. Even a great personality depends on something else. How then can he be the supreme controller?
Someone may possess full knowledge of religion, but renunciation, but that is not the cause of liberation. Someone may possess great power and yet be unable to take the power of eternal time. Someone else may have renounced attachment to the material world, yet he cannot compare to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, no one is completely free from the influence of the material modes of nature.
X22. Someone may have
Someone may have longevity but not have auspiciousness or good behavior. Someone may have both auspiciousness and good behavior, but the duration of his life is not fixed. Although such demigods as Lord Shiva have eternal life, they have inauspicious habits like living in crematoriums. And even if others are well qualified in all respects, they are not devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Sukdev Goswami continues. In this way, after full deliberation, the goddess of fortune accepted Mukunda as her husband, because although he is independent and not in want of her, he possesses all transcendental qualities and mystic powers and is therefore the most desirable.
Approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the goddess of fortune placed upon his shoulders the garland of newly grown lotus flowers, which was surrounded by humming bumblebees searching for honey. Then, expecting to get a place on the bosom of the Lord, she remained standing by his side, her face smiling with tenderness.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Father of the three worlds, and his bosom is the residence of Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the proprietor of all opulences. The goddess of fortune, by her favorable and merciful glance, can increase the opulence of the three worlds, along with their inhabitants and their directors and demigods.
The inhabitants of Gandharva and Charana then took the opportunity to play their musical instruments, such as conch shells, bugles, and drums. They began dancing and singing along with their wives.
Text 27. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the great sage Angira, and similar directors of universal management showered flowers and chanted mantras, indicating the transcendental glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
All the demigods, along with the Prajapatis and their descendants, being blessed by Lakshmiji's glance upon them, were immediately enriched with good behavior and transcendental qualities. Thus they were very much satisfied.
Okay, because of...
last one.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, because of being neglected by the goddess of fortune, the demons and rakshas were depressed, bewildered and frustrated, and thus they became shameless.
Alright, so we're focusing on text 9. Tasyam chakru spriham sarve Sasura shura manava Rupodriya vayo varna Mahima kshipta chetasha. Is that the meter? I think that's not the meter. Tasyam chakrus priham sarve Sasura shura manava
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve sasura sura manava rupaudarya vayo varna mahimakshita chetasa.
One more time.
Okay.
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve
sasura sura manava
Sasura sura manava
rupa audarya vayo varna
Rupa audarya vayo varna
mahimakshita chetasa
Mahimakshipta chetasha
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve Sasura sura manava
Rupadarya vayo varna
Rupodarya vayo varna Mahimakshipta chetasha
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve
Sasur asur manava
Sasura sura manava
Rupadarya vayo varna
Rupodarya vayo varna Mahimakshipta chetasha
Tasyam chakrushram sarve
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve
Sasura sura manava
Sasura sura manava
Rupadarya vayo varna
Rupodarya vayo varna
Mahimakshipta chetasa
Mahimakshipta chetasha
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve
Sasura sura manava
Sasura sura manava
Rupadaya vayo varna
Rupodarya vayo varna
Mahimashikta chetasa
Mahimakshipta chetasha
Tasyam chakrus praham sarve
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve Sasura sura manava
Rupadarya vayo varna
Rupodarya vayo varna
Mahimas pita chetasaha
Mahimakshipta chetasha
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve
Tasyam chakrus priham sarve
Sasura sura manava
Sasura sura manava Rupodarya vayo varna Mahimakshipta chetasha. Word by word translation all together please. Tasyam unto her, Chakru did, Spriham desire, Sarve everyone, Shashura Ashura Manava, the demigods, the demons and the human beings, Rupa or Darya by the exquisite beauty and bodily features, via youth, Varna complexion, Mahima glories, Akshita agitated, Chetasha their minds. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Because of her exquisite beauty, her bodily features, her youth, her complexion, and her glories, everyone, including the demigods, the demons, and the human beings, desired her. They were attracted because she is the source of all opulence. Purport. Who in this world does not want to possess wealth, beauty, and the social respectability that comes from these opulence? People generally desire material enjoyment, material opulence, and the association of aristocratic family members. Bhogeshwarya Prashaktanam. Material enjoyment entails money, beauty, and the reputation they bring, which can all be achieved by the mercy of the goddess of fortune. The goddess of fortune, however, never remains alone. As indicated in the previous verse by the word Bhagavad Para, she is the property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is enjoyable only by him. If one wants the favor of the goddess of fortune, Mother Lakshmi, because she is by nature Bhagavad Para, one must keep her with Narayana. The devotees who always engage in the service of Narayana, Narayan Parayana, can easily achieve the favor of the goddess of fortune without a doubt. But materialists who try to get the favor of the goddess of fortune only to possess her for for personal enjoyment are frustrated. Theirs is not a good policy. The celebrated demon Ravana, for example, wanted to deprive Ramachandra of Lakshmi, Sita, and thus be victorious. But the result was just the opposite. Sita, of course, was taken by force by Lord Ramachandra, and Ravan and his entire material empire were vanquished. The goddess of fortune is desirable for everyone, including human beings. But one should understand that the goddess of fortune is the exclusive property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot achieve the mercy of the goddess of fortune unless one prays both to her and to the Supreme Enjoyer, the Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So as you guys must have noticed that the theme of this text is that Lakshmi Devi, who is also known as Shri, should not be worshipped alone. And she does not favor anyone who tries to separate her from her Lord or her husband, right? And when Shri is not used in the service of Krishna, it brings forth illusion in life, and ultimately it causes the downfall of the individual, right? And but Prabhupada writes that the devotees who are engaged in the service of Krishna, they automatically, without any doubt, achieve the favor of Goddess Lakshmi, unless the materialists who try to possess her for material enjoyment. And so we will be talking about these topics. So I heard that, I think one time before Vishaka was giving a class, and she made a point that Mother Lakshmi is happy when we try to bring forth the union of Mother Lakshmi and Lord Narayana, right? Any wife likes to be in the association of her husband, right? So if we try to serve Lord Krishna using Mother Lakshmi, then Mother Lakshmi is happy, and also the Lord is happy, right? And then as Prabhupada writes that Mother Lakshmi, she is favored by all the, she favors all the devotees. Like as we saw in the last text, Prabhupada writes that Mother Lakshmi glanced upon all the demigods and they automatically were enriched with good qualities and transcendental qualities just by her glance. But the demons who were not desired by Mother Lakshmi, who want to use Mother Lakshmi for their sense enjoyment, actually were frustrated and they became shameless. So we have established the fact that Lakshmi Devi brings forth auspiciousness when used in service of Krishna, right? But otherwise it brings illusion. So my question is, what is the reason of that illusion? Why does that illusion come?
Does that illusion come in the form of Maya? Mahamaya, Lord Shiva's wife, or how does that illusion come?
Yeah, so so that illusion brings forth Maya. What is the reason that Maya kicks in? There must be a crack, like how in ISKCON we follow all the 4 regulative principles, right? But one time Sundar Chaitanya Swami Maharaj came and he said, in ISKCON, Maya cannot enter because we follow all the 4 regs, but only way Maya can enter in ISKCON is through conflicts, right? So there must be some crack that this illusion comes in when Lakshmi Devi is not being used in service.
Selfish motives.
Right, selfish motives.
Desire to enjoy.
Right, when there's a desire to enjoy Lakshmi Devi for our own benefit, right? Anyone else? Okay, so the reason why that illusion comes is because a person is ignorant about who exactly the Lakshmi Devi belongs to and what's the real purpose of her existence, right? So that's the reason. But Prabhupada and previous acharyas, like Prabhupada wrote that Lakshmi Devi never remains alone, right? And Prabhupada and all the previous acharyas have condemned the worship of Lakshmi Devi alone, right? But what's the reason? Why is that Lakshmi Devi is not to be worshipped alone? It's because she doesn't like to be alone. She doesn't like to be worshipped separately from Lord Narayana. And usually when Lakshmi Devi is represented, she is represented as someone who is showering gold coins, and she's depicted with someone who gives forth a lot of material enjoyment and especially money, right? So she's considered as the goddess of wealth. But seeing her like that and worshipping her for material wealth is condemned. Not that the worship is condemned, because we see in the translations that we just read, everyone is trying to offer something to Lakshmi Devi, right? Someone is bringing her garland, someone is bringing her a throne. So she is being favored, but not for the own material enjoyment. So that worship is condemned. So the real purpose of Lakshmi Devi is not to increase the material propensity of the worshipper. So, but to offer, her real purpose is to offer benedictions to the worshipper, so that the worshipper can serve her Lord with opulence. So she gave opulence to the devotees of the Lord, so that devotees of the Lord can serve her Lord with opulence. Right? So, and then when she sees that you're bringing forth her union with her husband, then she is happy. And then Krishna is also happy. And when Krishna is satisfied, everyone is happy. So her real purpose is to serve her Lord, serve the devotees of the Lord. Her real purpose is to serve the Lord and to serve the devotees of the Lord to serve the Lord. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you say one more time?
So her real purpose is to serve her Lord and also to serve the devotees of her Lord to serve the Lord. Right? Okay. And who she belongs to? She belongs to the Supreme Enjoyer, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Now, when people don't understand the real purpose and who it actually belongs to, that's when it brings forth illusion. And then the person starts getting influenced by the three modes of material nature and forgets Krishna. Right? So then, what are the effects? So we discussed about the cause of why that illusion comes, right? So once that illusion comes, what happens? What happens in the life of that person?
What doesn't happen?
Yeah, so how does it like the life looks like?
It feels like I am the controller, I am the God.
Yeah, there's a lot of pride that kicks in, that I am this, I did this, right? What else?
There's a lot of frustration because they are trying to enjoy something and they're not able to get that satisfaction.
Exactly. So that's what Prabhupada writes, like, unlike the materialist who try to get the favor of goddess of fortune only to possess her for material enjoyment, are frustrated. So I've seen it personally that materialists sometimes, like even in terms of getting a position at work or just getting anything done in life, they have to do double the amount of effort sometimes to reach there, right? And even then, the success doesn't come. But sometimes devotee, when he is favored by Krishna, right? Even though the minimum amount of efforts are put, if that work is in Krishna's service, sometimes it's automatically flourished. not that I'm saying that we need to put less efforts, but I'm just talking that materialists are always frustrated in this term. That even if they put a lot of efforts, if they're not able to fulfill what they want to do for their own sense enjoyment. But when a devotee is favored by Krishna, he or she is trying to do something for Krishna's service. When Krishna favors, sometimes we say, oh, the luck of that person is very strong. There's nothing called as luck. It's called Krishna's mercy. Right. Now, so we have been studying in Bhagavad Gita, and this is our verse that we have to speak in the test also on the coming Saturday and Sunday. So I would like to ask, who can recite 2.44? It's okay.
I can try it. Yogeshwara Pratnanam, Smaraparthasatitanam, Vyavasyatmika Buddhi, Samadho Navidyate.
Yeah, that's right. Haribol. So Prabhupada talks about what happens to the person who are closely attached to sense enjoyment. It's in Bhagavad Gita 2.44, which Prabhu just recited. Bhogeshware prashaktanam tayapaharita chetasham vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhona vidhiyate. So Krishna says, in the minds of those who are too attached to material enjoyment and sense enjoyment and material opulence, and are thus bewildered by such things, the resolute determination of devotional service does not take place. So basically, they're not able to do devotional service, or they just don't get the inspiration or motivation to do it because they're so engrossed in their own sense enjoyment. Right? So if they already knew about Krishna, they forget about him. Or if unfortunately they had no idea about Krishna, now they go more farther and farther and get entangled into the ocean of birth and death. Right? Now at this stage, Maya takes charge, right? And the person starts getting influenced by the three modes of material nature. And when Maya takes charge, there are endless possibilities of fall down. Right? And as soon as Krishna is out of the picture, everything gets messy. Right? Do you have any examples of when people forgot Krishna and it was a messy ride?
Bharat Maharaj, when he was attached to a deer, Krishna was out of picture and then
Exactly. Yes.
The Pandavas, while they were king.
Oh my God, you guys have good examples. So Bharat Maharaj, who got too attached to the deer, and he had to take birth as a deer after because he forgot about Krishna at the end moment of his life, for which he was doing all these austerities for. And then Pandavas, Duryodhana, he had a mentor, his uncle, his name was Shakuni, right? So he took help of his uncle to play that gambling match, right? And then Pandavas, they knew that that match was not okay, and Krishna would not, agree with that match. So they had this propensity. They were like, okay, we're going to play by ourselves, But Krishna says that, like, if you would have asked help from me at that time, none of this would have happened. If you would have reached out to me. So they forgot Krishna in that moment, and then all that happened after. Draupadi's disrobing, they were made slaves of Kuru dynasty, they had to go for exile, and a war happened. All that happened because they forgot Krishna. So, yes, and Prabhu, you had a point? Ajamil, yeah. So he was a Brahmana, right? He had knowledge about Shastras growing up, but then because of senses, he fell down seeing a man and a woman together in a forest, and then he fell into the whole thing about he married a prostitute. He had children with her. And at the end of the life, by his good karma or by whatever you can say, he was able to say the word Narayana. He got favored. But the point is that when people forget Krishna, fallout happen. Yes.
When we read Mahabharata, the story is a little different maybe. They were mentioned like not forgetting Krishna, but they were still on the path of dharma, accepting the order of Dhritarashtra, despite they did not know how to play dice game. But Dhritarashtra wanted them to play. He forced them to play. Yudhishthira Maharaj mentioned several times that I am not kind of the right person to play such games. I have never been trained. And he asked everyone that not let me play this game, but again, Dhritarashtra wanted him to play, to respect the king and the relationship. Just for the sake of that, he kind of joined that. So when you follow your dharma, a kind of that you are connected to, where you are not doing something wrong. Obviously, playing dice is wrong, but he was bound to play. He was forced to play at the time.
Actually, so when a Kshatriya is called for a challenge, he cannot deny it, right? So I understand the fact that Yudhishthira Maharaj did not deny it because it was his dharma. But then asking for help from a mentor was also his dharma. Like Arjuna asked for help from Krishna when they had to go to a war. So why wasn't it necessary for them to ask Krishna for help when they were also kind of challenged for a battle, be it of dice?
At the same time, they were not doing sense gratification either.
That was actually sense gratification. What were they gaining from it?
He was doing it out of duty, as a matter of duty. It was at that point.
But they added the aspect of getting or receiving something in return. If they had to do it only for the sake of challenge, then they should have played without putting stakes of themselves or Draupadi. That was wrong. Till the point they were betting small. I don't know. They shouldn't have. I actually don't have enough knowledge on this. I'm sorry. I don't think I should comment. But I understand that he took the challenge. But asking help from Krishna was the right thing that they should have done at that point. Yeah.
Just to add on this thing, I think I was hearing this on in Amrita Prabhu's lecture. He actually mentioned that, like, when the other party, like the Duryodhan side, they were about to play, they said like, Shakuni
will play
by their side.
from my side.
And when Pandavas were playing, they were supposed, like Krishna was saying, they could have even said once, like, Krishna is gonna throw the
Dice by my side. So, but they did not choose. I'm not exactly sure the reason. I think they knew that they were, I don't know, maybe they're not doing the right thing and Krishna would not approve of it, but they wanted to still do it, so they did not call for Krishna. I can ask my mentor for more clarification on this. Yeah. So then as soon as there's Krishna out of the picture, everything gets messy, as we saw in Pandava's case, as we saw in Ajamila's case, as we saw in... What was the example you gave? Marj. Bharat, yes. So that was the topic that I was going to discuss. I have another topic also, which is slightly different from the topic that we are discussing right now. But does anyone have any questions at this point? Yeah.
You said sometimes we say the luck of people are good, but it's not luck, it's Krishna mercy, right? So why do the people who do gambling win the lotteries? Is that Krishna mercy? Or?
No, because they have some good karma in their past life, from which they are supposed to get some opulence in this life. So that gambling match just becomes an instrument for them to have it. But now they have the free will of how they're going to use that money. So now if they're not using it for Krishna's service, then at one point it's all going to be taken away.
Gambling is like against the four elements principles, right? So I can also try it. No, not like that. Can any person can try if he wins, he can use in Krishna service?
No. So for them to try gambling to get rich is out of ignorance, right? They don't know what's the better thing to do. So they do it out of ignorance. And now if they have some left karma from their past life, that becomes the instrument, right? But then we know the philosophy. Now if Krishna wants us to have opulence, then our instrument would be something else, right? So you may do hard work, and you may not have to do a lot of hard work to gain opulence, right? But your your instrument to get that opulence is not gambling, because if you try to do that, then Krishna is not happy, right? Yeah. Yes.
Maybe that's not opulence, that's misery, because once you start gambling, that's the role of Maya. You keep on getting entrapped in that, and most of the gamblers, they end up losing everything.
Exactly. Yeah. So sometimes there's this silver lining between us being in Maya and using something in Krishna's service, and it's so hard to see, but only when you have enough knowledge and only when you read Shastras and also you have good mentors to teach you about it, that's when we can distinguish between it. So in that case, that would be going in Maya. Anything else? Okay, we have 5 minutes. I wanted to touch on this topic. So we see that you read all of the translations, right? And we see a lot of opulences coming out of the churning of the milk ocean, right? But the demigods, they're at peace because they're instructed by Krishna in the previous verses that we read in the chapter 6, 25th verse, like we read. When various products are churned from the ocean, you not be greedy for them or anxious to obtain them, nor should you be angry. Right? In Krishna, Lord Vishnu or Narayana instructed that to demigods. So they are at peace. They're not being greedy for everything that's coming out of the ocean, right? But wait a minute. Demigods are the one who are always surrounded by the objects of sense enjoyment. They were able to control their senses to refrain from engaging in them because they are working under the instruction of Krishna, right? However, we've seen that even the great sages who have been doing austerities from lifetimes are not able to control their senses whenever an object of sense gratification comes in front of them, right? So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu writes in the Antya Leela 2.118 that so strongly do the senses adhere to the objects of their enjoyment that indeed a wooden statue of a woman attracts the mind of even a great saintly person. Right? So we see that anyone who has been in austerities but is not serving the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, even if they're doing so many austerities, they're not able to control their senses. They may be able to do it permanently for some time, but after a while, when they are in the association of something that triggers their senses, they go back into their they go back into their conditionings, right? So, does anyone have any examples of any sages or saints who fall down from their position because they got attracted? Sorry?
Parashurmuni, Vyasdev's father, he also got attracted to Satyavati. Yes, and may not be the right example, but he also got attracted, and that's how Vyasadeva came to existence.
I don't know about this story.
I think it was actually Krishna's plan, because Krishna came in his dream and instructed him to do this. So it was not out of lust.
It was purposeful.
So that is not a good plan.
Yes. So he was with Chaitanya. Is that the case when he was with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he was lusting over a woman and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu threw him out of his assembly? Okay.
He just looked.
Yeah. He just, yeah.
Just both thought.
That's a good example.
Vishwamitra was
Yeah. So you see all these sages, and even Jaimini Rishi, who was a Vyasadev's disciple. So when one time he was writing down what Vyasadeva was saying him to write down, because Vyasadeva was trying to compile a scripture, and Vyasadeva told him to write down. He told him to write down that even the great sages can fall down from their exalted position. And as soon as Jaimini Rishi heard this, he was like, I do not agree with this. Right? I'm not going to write what I don't agree with. And Vyasadeva was like, just write what I'm saying, because this is the truth. And Jaimini Rishi was like, no, I don't agree with this. So Vyasadeva was like, okay, let's halt here and we'll come back to this. Right? So then same day at night, there was a big storm. And so Jaimini Rishi usually stays in the forest. So he was staying in the forest in a kuti, right? And then at night he heard the voice crying for help outside. And then he went outside. He saw a woman who was trembling, and she wanted a place to stay, somewhere to stay at. So then Jaimini Rishi offered her to stay in his kuti for the night, and he told her that you can stay here for one night, but do not go out. If anybody calls you, just stay here. Even if I call you, don't come out. So then Jaimini Rishi went back to sleep, but he could not sleep. He could not sleep because he kept thinking about the bodily features of the woman, which he saw because of the little bit of lightning flash in that storm. And then he was so agitated, he went down to the room of that women, and he started knocking it very like, open the door, and she was like, no, Jaimini Rishi has told me not to open it for anyone. And then Jaimini Rishi was like, no, it's me, open the door. And she's like, he told me not to open, even if it's Jaimini Rishi. And then he's like, no, open the door. And then after a while, the woman opens the door and he asks her to marry him.
No. I think I heard a different story. So the lady will not open the door. Jaimini Rishi actually jumped from the roof.
His guru actually.
Wait, don't spoil the story, Prabhu.
So he jumped from the roof and tried embracing that lady.
So yeah, but I've read another version of it, so I'll tell you the one that I've read. Maybe you can. Yeah. So then she opened the door and he was like, I want to marry you. And she's like, oh wow, such a great sage wants to marry me. I'm ready, but first there's a temple of the Devi nearby. You have to put me on you and crawl down to the temple. And then Rishi was like, that's it? Okay, I'm okay. So then even in the storm, he went crawling down, asking her to sit on his back, asking her to sit on his back, and then he went to the temple, even though his hands and legs were like were getting injured by the thrones and stuff. But then when he went up to the temple, to the top, and then he's like, okay, now I can embrace her. And then he tried to embrace her. He saw a long beard. And then he's like, hold on, appeared, and then he saw her face, and then that was his guru, Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva was like, now you understand what I meant to say? Even a great saint can fall down from his position. And that's when Jaimini Rishi was very ashamed and embarrassed, and he agreed with what Vyasadeva had to say. So, yeah, I would end at this point that even a great sage can fall down if he's not doing devotional service to Krishna. But on the other hand, when Haridas Thakur was in such a position, he was easily able to resist the attack of Maya. He even made the lady who was trying to seduce him, like to convert into a devotee. That's the power of chanting of the holy name. So let's end on the class by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vancha kalpatra.